In very, very simplistic terms, our lives consist of three primary phases. Phase 1 is youth and education. Phase 2 is career and family. Phase 3 is retirement and legacy. Again, very simplistic, but it's one structure, one way of looking at our phases of life. Yes? Yes. So retirement, again, should not be, some afterthought that happens by accident. Instead, let's think of it as a primary phase that needs just as much attention and focus and planning and effort as your career did, or your family, or your entire education. Now, I don't mean to overwhelm you and make you feel like this is so much work. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is let's give it its due. Let's think of retirement as a critical, vital phase of our lives that needs just as much attention as the other two phases. Now, as I mentioned before, it's not productive to think of retirement as just an afterthought or something you'll just deal with when the time comes. Instead, be proactive in creating a wonderful retirement. Not reactive to circumstances, but proactive in your planning. And as you approach retirement, you have a huge opportunity to create a rich and rewarding experience. It could be filled with meaning and purpose and potential. So the question is, what will your retirement look like? If you're going to retire to something wonderful, what will that be in your case? Don't just retire from something, retire to something. Now, I didn't make up that phrase, but I like that phrase. I think it captures a lot of what we're talking about here today. So when thinking about retirement, most people focus on what they'll be moving away from, what they'll be getting rid of, what they'll be losing. You know, well, I'll leave that job, which maybe you don't like in the first place. Oh, I'll finally get out of corporate America where I've felt too much control, too much pressure, whatever. Then I'll leave my lousy boss, who I never liked anyway. Or I won't have to deal with that long commute and all the frustration that brought into my life. You know, I won't have to have this, I won't do that anymore. I'll never have to. They talk about what they're leaving behind, what they can get rid of, you see? Which I understand. But that's not enough. Instead, let's think about what you're going toward. What are your objectives, your goals? What are your desires? What do you really want? What's pulling you like a magnet? What have you been thinking about, fantasizing about when you think about those later years? In other words, what excites you? What are you excited about? What engages you? So you have to know what you're retiring to, not just what you're retiring from. If you don't do this, if you don't think about this, then you're in danger of winding up unfocused, anxious, and adrift. It's not a pretty picture. Do not spend your retirement just filling your time, just passing the days. That is a very depressing scenario. You do not want to wind up in that kind of situation where you're just biding your time, wasting the days, where the days all run together, you don't even know. I mean, that's just a terrible prescription. So instead, start with a clean slate, draft a new plan, which can be seen as your retirement mission statement.